Recording in progress.
Oh yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro Styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey shot with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
Yo, what up? What up, folks? Welcome back, folks. It's another edition of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We're live streaming on our YouTube channel, Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Twitter handle at Barbershop SPOR2. I'm Trey Frazier, and I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me today. What's good, man?
Sir. What's good, man? How you?
I'm feeling good, man. I can't wait till this week is over, so I could get my week's vacation in next week. You know, Thanksgiving is coming up upon us so quickly, man.
So let me ask you, man, is this going to be a thing where every Tuesday, Wednesday, where we do these episodes and the Ravens lose, that you're not going to wear Ravens gear?
Oh, well, you figured it out. Even though you could still see the logo in the back, far back, but
it don't hit the same.
But you know, I noticed it earlier, and I was like, you know what, I ain't gonna be that grimy. I ain't gonna move it. But I mean, do they deserve for me to have their gear worn? No, not this week. not this week. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got gift wrapping paper and bows and, you know, streamers and stuff, and we just gift wrapping dubs to other teams, man. That's just what we do, man.
Hey, man.
That's just what we do for some reason, bro. It's who this team is at this point. I mean,
interesting.
They say, every week it's always, we're gonna fix this. I'm confident in the team, but the whole, coach speak. I mean, it's so funny because the coach talks without actually not saying anything, right? So
as most coaches,
I sure, but in particularly this one, he just, avoids the question and just talks without actually answering the questions about what's wrong with the team and why Lamar's turning the ball over in fourth quarters, and why are we not closing games out? I mean, this is the third loss for the season where we had a game won and we lose it in the fourth. I've just come to the notion that this is who this team is and has been really for it didn't just start this year.
It didn't
just start this year. It's been going on for several years now, and it just seems like this is the thing that they do. Whether that's lack of adjustments or they don't have the closers on defense, and the thing with Lamar is very concerning. Just from he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And, the turnovers in the fourth and the play in the fourth is concerning. It's concerning, man. But, since we kind of talking about the game.
Well, I wouldn't expect you to go all the way in. I just wanted to know.
I want to talk about the Cleveland side. Can we talk about the Cleveland side since we both, this is the division.
Well, did you want to go straight into that? I mean, I normally you like to, kind of warm up and talk about some other things. Or but if this is on your heart, by all means, my G.
Let's talk about it. I mean, the title of the episode is Norfin. It's still Norfin. Everybody's over 500. This is the toughest division in football. You saw that on Sunday between these two teams. But if I want to talk analytically about this game, we lost this game in the trenches. Browns defense just kind of did what they did. Offensive line for the Cleveland Browns did what they did in the second half. And it was, and thank God that I had an appointment to be at Sunday afternoon, because I watched the first half of the game, and then I said, okay, I got to be someplace at 3 o'clock. Matter of fact, I had to take the kids to play date at the trampoline park, nearby. So 3 o'clock I was there. I didn't really tune into the rest of the game, whatever. So, I kind of,
because you kind of felt like it was under wraps, like you had it under, like the Ravens had it under control, no need.
Yeah, I felt like it. Yeah, I felt like they had it, man. Beckham, right out the, second half, right out the gate, we get the ball. He hits Odell on a slant to the house, for 30 yards, and it's a touchdown, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I didn't check it for the rest of the time there. I've been talking with parents and stuff, and I knew that if I was gonna sneak on the phone and get updates and stuff, that was gonna be a little bit rude, knowing that I invited them out, on the play date and stuff, and so I was just trying to be, alert with what was happening at the park or whatever. So, but yes, I did check the score. Actually, I got in the car to listen to the post game, and that's when I found out that they blew the game. Looking at the box score, though, the Browns had 3 drives offensively all throughout the second half. 3 drives. Mm-hmm. First drive was a 17-play drive, 10 minutes. They scored that touchdown, and this was after the Beckham, slant for a touchdown. Yep. Then their second drive was another touchdown drive after the who was it? Prochet muffed the punt. Mm-hmm. In our territory, and we were able to score there. So it seemed like every time we punched, the Browns would punch back, and then once the Browns gave us that second punch, that's when Lamar, made the mistake, and it was a tip ball. It was a pick six.
He didn't make a mistake.
The ball was.
I mean.
Yeah.
Sure. It
fluky.
Goes to his stat.
Fluky.
It go
to his stat, but it was fluky. It was a very fluky, kind of like the Hamilton pick six, first play of the game earlier. In the game, we get the pick six off of the tip pass, so it was kind of like, oh, we're trading pick sixes, tip balls, pick sixes, whatever. Yeah, for real, that sounded crazy. So it seemed like we punched, and then they just kept punching back, and
then it landed,
and then it just
and then it landed on y'all.
The interception. We get the ball back. We tried to salt the game away, couldn't salt the game away, and then the third drive of the game for Cleveland was the one where they, the highlight of that drive, in case you didn't see it, was them pushing the pile 10, 15 yards down the field, getting them into field goal range. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, so y'all got punched in the mouth and then folded y'all.
Y'all
got folded by the Browns.
They kept punching. Yeah, they kept punching back in the second half.
And then y'all folded.
So
no, be clear, y'all folded. Y'all got punched in the mouth and folded.
I mean, what do you want me to say, bro?
I want you to say y'all got folded.
No, I'm not saying that.
But that's what happened.
Huh?
But that's what happened.
Sure. I'm just saying, every time we punch, they punch back. That's how they won the game.
And then y'all stopped punching.
That's how they won the game.
And then y'all stopped punching.
We didn't have a chance to punch back. They had the ball last.
Y'all ain't had a chance to punch back because y'all got folded.
They had the ball last, man.
All right, I feel you, man. So how you feeling?
I'm not taking the bait, bro. I know you're trying to get a rise out of me. Pause, but
chill.
Yeah. That was wild. That was wild.
But how you feeling about the Ravens right now? I mean, I know you said it. This is the team they're going to be. They're going to give up fourth quarter leads. But what does that say for y'all and Super Bowl aspirations? Because
they're still a Super Bowl.
Obviously, they're still there.
Because I got to look at the totality. I got to look at what they've done through 10 games. I mean, we can't just throw the Seattle game out the window. We can't throw the Detroit game out the window. Those were dominating performances.
Sure, and yes, but here's why those games. Here's why those games become a little interesting. What are the odds? What are the odds that y'all gonna go up like that against Cincinnati,
Kansas City, Cincinnati? Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
Miami.
Right, and we can't. And look, I mean, we can't throw out the Bengals game from week 2, week 3. Like we can't just throw that out.
In terms of resume, sure, but I mean, let's be clear. We know that wasn't the Cincinnati team that Cincinnati is right now. So I mean,
sure, and they're going to be a different team Thursday night. I get all that. I get all that.
So I hear you. Why are you saying you can't throw that game out the window?
And remember, that was a 3-point victory. The score really didn't indicate how bad we dominated them in that game, but they did cut that deficit to 3 points. So, and we had the ball last, and we salted the clock in that game. And if you want to bring up the Cleveland game from earlier, same thing. Not the same Cleveland Browns that we saw the other day. Not the same team. Deshaun missed the first game. And this time around, even though both defenses are top 2, top 3 in the league, and the fact that it was a 30-30 ball game was kind of telling. But I'm just not going to throw away the rest of the 7 wins in the season. I mean, they've played.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking I'm asking in the scheme of the playoffs, because again, we're only talking about championships. We're not talking about regular season wins.
Sure.
How do you feel going into? I mean, look, it's the end of November basically. So it's getting ready to be crunch time. I don't know.
It's mid-November, but I feel you.
I mean, it's literally the end of November, bro. I mean,
bro, it's the 14th, bro. It's the 14th of November.
Next week, I hear you, but next week is literally Thanksgiving, bro. Next week is literally Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and Thanksgiving is on what, the 23rd?
Yeah, that's the end of the month, man.
Well,
I hear you.
Yeah. Come on now.
You're thinking about this past week. I'm thinking about what's about to come.
I'm thinking about how many weeks is left in the season. We're literally at the halfway point when it comes to the regular season right now.
That's fair.
There's 8 games left, and I mean we got a lot to get into, obviously. But to answer your question, I still feel good about this team's championship aspirations. Do
you think these guys beat Kansas City or Cincinnati or Miami when it matters?
When it matters, I think they can. I think they can. I really think they do. Again, Browns took the lead, right at the clock hit 0-0. That was their first lead of the game. The fact that I know that this team can come out hot in a game, they can keep the flow of the game. Their problem is finishing the game in the fourth quarter. That's the one problem. And if they could just do some things, that can help them not be in those situations, then I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine.
Look, I think you'll be fine as in the scheme of, okay, this is going to be good. Nobody's going to walk away from this season and be like the Ravens are a bad team. I don't even think anybody thinks that this is a Super Bowl or bust team in the Baltimore Ravens. I think everybody just kind of agrees that this team is in a window and this team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. But look, man, I don't know that there's any hot seat for y'all. I don't know that there's any pressure. Not
this year. Not this year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I do think that if this season doesn't result in, and I'm just talking about through the lens of, and I'm not talking through my lens, I'm talking through the lens of, sports people that talk, NFL on a daily basis, that look at rosters, look at opportunity, the free agents that are coming up and things like that. If this team, gets bounced in the first round or the second round, then I gotta start to hear the seat being hot for John Harbaugh, because I think I mentioned it maybe a few weeks ago that all this talk about Lamar Jackson after these losses, and it seems like there is zero silence when it comes to John Harbaugh from a national perspective. Like nobody talks about, hey, what about the coach? What about Keaton Mitchell only getting 3 carries when the dude busted one for a touchdown earlier in the game, had another carry that he busted one for another 40 yards, and then we don't see him again in the second half. Things like that. That's coaching. Like things like Marcus Williams, who came off the pec injury and his arm is in like some kind of a cast or something, and the dude is literally playing with one arm, and he's getting more snaps than Geno Stone, who, by the way, Geno Stone leads the league in interceptions. Right. Little coaching things like that. It's like, why aren't you putting the best players in the best positions out there on the field when it's time? You know what I mean? Marcus Williams, right now, and I love the cat, but he hurting the team right now. If you can't play with 2 arms, man, like I need your ass to sit until you get fully healthy, until you can use 2 arms, to play football. So things like that.
Why has Lamar Jackson become the new first take hot button topic, it seems?
I think I think it's to get, fan reaction. I think it's just for clicks and stuff like that. I didn't pay attention much to the episode yesterday. I know they were talking about Lamar Jackson. It wasn't to the extent that they were a few weeks ago from the second loss, but I do know that there was a conversation about the turnovers late in games. That's and obviously that is a issue. That is definitely an issue that he needs to.
How many turnovers does he have opposed to touchdowns? I read, and I don't know. I didn't think to look at it. How many touchdowns?
I don't know.
Turnovers?
I don't know, but the ratio is not. I wouldn't say the ratio is that great. He's got 10 passing touchdowns. I forget how many.
5 rushing.
5 rushing. Okay, so you're talking 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions for certain. I don't know. The fumble number is pretty high. And I don't know because
3.
Maybe 3 or 4, because him and Justice Hill have kind of had their issues with handoffs and stuff. So some of that stuff they've credited to Lamar, and some of it they've credited to Justice Hill. So I think that number is relatively high. So we're talking 8 turnovers, 9 turnovers to 15 touchdowns, 2-to-1 ratio around there. 2-to-1 ratio, I'd say.
Okay. I was just wondering. I don't really watch First Take or really any of these sports shows nowadays. But but I did see that. I did briefly look at that clip where they was talking about him again. And look, sure, there should be some criticism. Like,
of course.
But
of course,
I don't I don't know how much more they're talking about Josh Allen, but Josh Allen would seem like to be the more popular quarterback that should be getting killed right now, as opposed to Lamar Jackson, in my personal opinion. So I was just curious.
Yeah. Well, we'll kill Josh Allen some more on this podcast for certain. And shout out to your cousin in the chat, YouTube live chat, Steve. He says, okay, so he says Lamar's got 10 fumbles on the season. So 10 fumbles. So it sounds like they've credited some of that from Justice Hill to Lamar. So 10 fumbles, and I guess you got to see how many he lost, because you got 10 fumbles doesn't mean you lost all of them. And I know
then those aren't turnovers. The ones you don't lose.
Right. The one he doesn't lose are turnovers. So, but I'm not disputing the 10 fumble part. I just want to know how many he lost out of those 10.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, man. We definitely we got to give some smoke to some folks, man. But look, I know you want to.
Let me get my positivity in.
I know you want to go ahead and
My child
they're
is somewhere over there. So
what's the term they've been using? The term they've been using on TV. They're Tomlining their way to wins.
Look, man.
Look, can I be honest about something? Because I think the narrative has been, how's the Steelers winning these football games? Like, they're getting outscored, they're getting outgained in every game this season, and yet somehow they're 6-3. And I hate the Steelers, but it's kind of getting to the point where I think you have to dig deep into the numbers defensively and really from an offensive standpoint, where you got to look at it and say, and particularly Sunday's game, y'all running game got going, man, with them two running backs.
Well, it's only 2 games where we've had a running game, this week and last week.
Right.
So, because let's be clear about something. We are at the bottom half of every offensive category, main offensive category, and every main defensive category. Let's be very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're finding niche is
red zone turnovers.
That too.
Yep.
Turnovers. Situational football. We're winning situational football. That's the only thing, and there's no stats to track that. So we're winning situational football. And like you said, Tomlin, man, say what you want about Mike Tomlin, and look, man, we don't have a good team right now, man. We don't have a good team. When we got blew out by the 49ers, I knew exactly, what this team was going to kind of be. Even if we got a little bit better, this is kind of the team that we were going to be. Mm-hmm. And look, man, I'm just happy to be getting wins with no expectations. Look, I don't go into a whole lot of games like, oh, we gonna kill. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with the Packers game, did I have us winning? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I knew it was gonna be some type of parody, some type of bullshit that happens. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, Jordan Love is throwing dimes to Dobbs, and Kelly Holcomb went down against the Titans, and now Quan Alexander went down. So now they
torn Achilles.
So now they just throwing across the middle. And by the way, if you're hearing me and you're listening, Steelers, go get Reuben Foster. He's in the streets. Reuben Foster is in the streets. I believe he played in the XFL in the spring or something like that.
Did he really?
I believe so. Don't quote me on that. I believe he played in the XFL over the spring, and obviously he over his off season shit. Mm-hmm. He need a job. Reuben Foster, look, I get it. He knows the lingo in 3-4. Get him in there. I seen Arthur Moats talking about it today. That's why he came across my radar.
Yeah.
Bring him in. Bring him in now.
There's another guy out there. I don't know how you feel about this cat. And Ndamukong Suh is out there because he was talking about the Ravens called him, by the deadline to see if they could, work some things out. And obviously nothing really worked out.
Right now, I'm only talking about middle line.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. But we're just kind of on the conversation of guys on the street that could really, help some teams out there. It's a halfway point, and teams, this AFC is so stacked where, it seemed like everybody, 1 through 14 feel like they got a chance, the way this is going. So,
cool. I mean, look, that's not my priority right this second. We need somebody that can cover, tight ends and people coming across the middle. And Reuben Foster is our best bet right now because Landon Roberts and Mark Robinson are more run stuffers. So we need somebody that can run with tight ends and run with running backs a little bit. And Reuben Foster, hey man, go get Reuben Foster, man. He know how to play middle linebacker. That's his position. That's what he plays in middle linebacker. Get him there, please.
So
if you got to get John Bostic, I don't necessarily want John Bostic. And look, man, call Miles Jack, man. I know he retired. He went to Philly one day and retired. Call Miles Jack and ask him how he doing, man. Ask him, do he want to get a little bit of money for half a season, man. But please do not leave us with the likes of Mark Robinson and Landon Roberts in dealing with pass coverage. Please don't do that to us.
So I got a question. How seriously do you take coordinators who call plays from the booth versus calling plays from the sideline? Because
I didn't until this happened. I didn't take it serious at all.
Because Canada was in the booth, and then he came down, not this past week, but the previous game, he came down to the field, and all of a sudden, y'all scoring touchdowns on the first drives of games. Happened against Green Bay, and it happened, the previous week. Mm-hmm. Is that
I think what I believe about it is that there's a very he can communicate with everybody else on the team and not just the quarterback.
Okay.
And I think I never thought about it. I never thought about it until it happened. Mm-hmm. But when I saw the Titans game and I saw people being able to talk to him and him being able to talk back to people.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden a running game emerged.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all right, don't go back up there. Don't go back up there. Nah, at all. Mm-hmm. And with the run game going, I hope that it's going to be a matter of time before we starting to really utilize play action and Kenny Pickett can get some easier throws and be better accurate. Let's be clear, that Titans game he was not super accurate. He wasn't terrible against Green Bay, but it's not like he was throwing the ball a lot against Green Bay either. But I'm hoping this running game can keep going so we could get some easier throws for Kenny Pickett, and then we just talking about having a good team. Look, I don't have Super Bowl expectations like per se the Ravens do right now. I just, can we get to the playoffs? Can we win a game in the playoffs? Like those types of things. Can Kenny Pickett take the step that everybody thought he was going to take in the preseason? Can he have a better second half? Like these are the types of things I'm looking at. And please, Minkah Fitzpatrick, hurry up, man.
Because I asked that too because over on the 49ers, they did critics. They gave what's the cat name? Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator. They gave him some smoke about the defense. Coming off that 3-game losing streak, and so now he went from. I think he went opposite. So he was on the field, and then he all of a sudden went to the booth.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden, look what they did against, one of the hotter teams in the league, coming off a bye as well, and for them to hold them to 3 points like that, I think it's in a message. But I think it seems like there's something like drastic between calling plays from the booth and calling plays from the field, whether it's offense or defense. It seems like there's an advantage over the other. Like, I think both have pros and cons. I think being in a booth, you see everything obviously from a distance. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, like you talked about, being on the field, being face to face with players, coaches, communication and things like that. I think that can be a pro as well. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
I think the situation for the 49ers and the situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers was different.
Yeah.
I don't think that the 49ers started playing good defense all of a sudden because he switched where he coached from. I think they had a bye week and they did some things scheme wise to put on a better showing off the bye week.
Right.
Whereas I think Pittsburgh they had a communication issue. I think Matt Canada needed to see some of these players. Some of these players needed to see Matt Canada and have grievances in game. I think that's what happened. Like I said, they came in and all of a sudden they had a running game. It's not like it's not like this offense is scoring all of a sudden. Like, we're not scoring 25 points a game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're just, the running game just got going. That's the only literal that and that's a big thing. Don't get it twisted. That's the only thing that changed about this team is that the running game got going. We didn't score any extra points. We're still at the bottom offensively, and we're still at the bottom defensively. So you know what I'm saying. So yes, I think in reference to where coordinators coach, I think it's just a team thing, like what works for the team.
What works for them, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's any significant differences coaching up coaching up then coaching on the field, coaching up in the booth and coaching on the field.
Yeah, I think it's two things. The running game, like you said, is going, and I know that's the main thing for you, but I think the other thing that I can at least identify is that they're starting the game with, touchdown drives and kind of establishing that so that their defense can say, okay, our offense is giving us something. Now we can better be able to do what we can do. Like, I've noticed that also because previously,
but that's the running game. That's my point. Is
sure. But but scoring, putting points on the board on the first drive, that's something, because you can still get the run game going and then settle for field goals. There's a big difference between that and actually putting 7 on the board, right out the gate. I think that's a big confidence booster, not just for the offense, but for the entire team. So
sure, but I don't think Matt Canada coming down is the reason why they scored. I think the reason why they're scoring on first possessions, I think they're scoring on first possessions because the running game has got going. So the running game got going, I believe. And another thing is that Broderick Jones is starting now. And Broderick Jones is looking real good at right tackle right now. So that's another piece that's kind of working. So I would credit Matt Canada to getting to people being able to say, hey, this is the issue, and then him being able to adjust on the fly, and players being able to adjust on the fly. That's getting the running game going, and then the running game is the reason why they're scoring on first possession. So you're noting it as two separate things. I'm saying that's a result, a positive result of the one thing that's going good.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying that to say that's why Canada came down. I was just saying that to say that those were the two things that I've noticed that are different versus the first 7 games of the season for y'all.
Sure.
But and not to, because going back to the whole Steve Wilkes thing, I thought the criticism was unwarranted because I didn't think their defense played all that bad during that losing streak that they had. They just they lost games, but I would blame more the offense than it was the defense. I mean, they were missing 2 important pieces off of that offense, in Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams. Now that they got those guys back, it seemed like now
a lot of stock in Deebo Samuels.
No,
I don't.
Yeah, I do. I
put way more.
I do. I mean, it's easier. It's so much easier to defend Christian McCaffrey when you don't have Debo on there. Now when you got both guys out there, now your defense trying to figure out who the ball going to. It makes it more difficult to defend that offense.
I hear you. I think Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the game. So, and I think that has a way bigger influence than anything Deebo Samuels does on the field. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they both were out the same number of games, so it's really kind of hard to. It's just kind of hard to tell. Yeah. But you see when them guys is out there, both of those guys, along with everybody else getting back, that they could do. What they did to Jacksonville. What the hell was Jacksonville doing on their bye week? By the way, because I'm
not gonna overreact with Jacksonville. But let's be clear. It's not like I had them as a Super Bowl team. You know what I'm saying? So I had them as a playoff team. So they'll go in the playoffs. Right. And they'll lose. Maybe they'll get a game and lose in the second round. But they're a playoff team, and that's what their ceiling is. So they're when you're not one of them yet, you're allowed to lay an egg every now and then without a whole bunch of crazy criticism. In my opinion, you're not one of them teams yet.
Well, I would say this because they've had some bad home losses this season up to this point. You go back to when the Texans went in there and they stomped them out. You go back to Kansas City. Kansas City wasn't necessarily like a beatdown per se, but Kansas City's defense held them in check, and now you got this game here against the 49ers.
What's their 3 losses again?
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Their 3 losses is San Francisco, Kansas City, and the Texans.
I mean, look, man, those are not
all at home, by the way. Not on the road. All in their building, by the way.
Okay, and sure, but you're talking about the Super Bowl champs, a team that might be a Super Bowl, that might be a Super Bowl running in
a division rival. Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, while I hear you, but again, it's clear, and it's been clear to me that Jacksonville isn't one of those teams. So it's like, to lose, and I'm not talking about moral losses or nothing. I'm just saying that if you're going to lose, if you're that team and you're going to lose, those are the 3 kinds of games that you should lose, and nobody's like, all right, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like those are the types of games that Jacksonville should be losing.
I hear you. I just find it ironic that they're all in their building and not like you lose to San Francisco on the road. No problem. I
think you lose to San Francisco,
you know what I'm saying?
Period, and your Jacksonville is. Like, did you really have you didn't have Jacksonville beating San Fran?
I didn't have Jacksonville just scoring 3 points and giving up 34 points.
Okay.
There's a
if you're talking about the level of the win, okay. I mean, but let's be clear. Pittsburgh got blown out by San Francisco at home.
Yeah, I get it, and both those teams have, I guess, 2 different amounts of expectations. Jacksonville is expected to do more things this year than Pittsburgh is.
I mean, are they really? Are they really?
I think so.
And at least going into the year,
going into the year, yes. Going into the year, yes, absolutely.
What do you think Jacksonville's expectations were as in
well, and keep in mind before you ask that, I'm saying that Jacksonville versus Pittsburgh's expectations. I think Jacksonville is expected to do more things than Pittsburgh when it comes to maybe winning a couple of games in the playoffs, getting to a AFC Championship game, not necessarily a Super Bowl. Those are the things that I'm talking about as far as expectations. This team came from nowhere last year. This team was 3-7, left for dead, and then all of a sudden the Titans fell back to earth. Jacksonville went on a run. They got to the playoffs. They was down 27-0 against the Chargers. They overcame that. Historically, one of the best comebacks in playoff history, beat that team, went on the road to Kansas City, had a chance to, go for the win. They had some turnovers, and now you come into the season, and now, Trevor Lawrence got to take that next step up. You got a Super Bowl coach in Doug Peterson already on this team that has clearly made a difference in this team versus what Urban Meyer was able to give them. So, yeah, absolutely. Jacksonville is expected to do more things than Pittsburgh coming into the season.
So what, in your mind, was the expectations of Jacksonville as opposed to Pittsburgh?
I just said, win a couple of games in the playoffs, get to an AFC Championship game.
You think their expectations was to get to the AFC Championship game?
If you're Jacksonville and you did what you did last year, yes.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? Nobody saw them coming last year. And now right, exactly. Now that people now see them coming. So that's what I'm looking at.
So Kansas. And look, we'll get into Buffalo later.
Yep.
But in the AFC, it's Buffalo that got those types of expectations. AFC Championship
coming into the season. Yes.
Coming into the season, it's Kansas City that has those expectations.
Yep.
It's Baltimore that has those expectations. It's the Cincinnati Bengals that has those expectations. Mm-hmm. I don't see where any pundit saw Jacksonville in the
I don't give a damn about the pundit. I don't give a damn about that. I'm looking at what they did and how they finished, and them coming into the season with what they got coming this year.
So 2 teams get to the AFC Championship. So you saw Jacksonville get into the AFC Championship out of any of those 4 teams I just named?
I'm not saying I saw them getting to an AFC Championship game. I'm saying that the expectation for them should be to get to an AFC Championship game.
That's your expectation.
Based off of what they did last year. I don't care what
so fuck the pundits.
Yeah.
Based on what you just said.
Yep.
And the other 4 teams, you saying that you had an expectation, or you feel like they should have the expectation with those other 4 teams in the field to the AFC Championship.
Right. And Buffalo should have those same expectations as well as the Bengals, the Chiefs, Super Bowl champions.
I can see why those 4 teams had those expectations. I just disagree with your idea.
Right, right. I see why you say that, because Bengals was in a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Championship with the Chiefs. Buffalo AFC Championship game
And
3 years ago.
And Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are a more established team than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Right.
So I don't see Jacksonville and again we're talking about preseason before Buffalo started being some shit.
Right.
I didn't see none of those. Jacksonville couldn't beat any of those four teams in my mind going into the season in the playoffs, and they're going to run into one of them. So at very very best, in my mind, Jacksonville makes the playoffs and loses in the first round. In my mind,
at home as a division champ.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they played a 5, or let's say they played a 3 for shits and giggles, then
okay.
you still talking about getting
wild cards. So who are we talking about? Potential wild cards. Cleveland. You think Cleveland?
Or you're talking about Cleveland. You're possibly talking about, depending on how you feel about Baltimore,
right?
Because you got them winning the Super Bowl. You got them winning the division.
Right.
So that means Cincinnati is a wild card.
Okay.
I don't got Cincinnati beating Jack. I don't got Jack.
We'll talk about Cincinnati in a minute because they just about in the same.
Again, we're talking about
preseason. I know. Yeah. But I'm looking at it as the standings right now. I'm looking at it right now, and Jacksonville is in position to win the South.
That's not the conversation we were just having, though.
Huh?
That's not the conversation we were just having. The conversation we were just having is that looking at the season before the season started. You said you had Jacksonville as a potential AFC
they
championship
should, right.
That was your expectations of them. I'm saying there's no way you could have expectations, in my opinion, you can have the expectations of them to be an AFC championship team with those other 4 teams that are also going to be in the playoffs. In my mind,
right.
Pittsburgh makes the play, and this is when I was being objective in the offseason. Pittsburgh makes the playoffs.
Sure.
They don't make no AFC championship. They don't win a game.
Right.
Same way I see Jacksonville. They get in the playoffs, but they don't win a game. They just make it to the playoffs because they're the best team in their division. We make it because we're the best 7. Again, going into the season, we're the best 7 in the AFC. You know what I'm saying? But objectively, neither one of those teams, expectation-wise, I feel like had a chance of they're on the same trajectory.
Okay, I see your point. I see your point, and I'll raise you this. And again, I'll go back to what they did last year in the playoffs
when nobody saw them coming.
When nobody saw them coming, and now they come into this season as okay. Do we expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the South? Yes. I expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the South, and I'm gonna ask 2 different questions here. Okay. Do I expect them to make the AFC Championship game? I don't expect them. Me personally, I don't expect them to make the AFC Championship game. But should they, as an organization, feel like, hey, we were
they got
a few minutes from taking the Chiefs out in the divisional round. So if we can get to the divisional round and, put the Chiefs, on the ropes here, and we got a Super Bowl winning coach on our roster, and we got an up-and-coming quarterback with some nice wide receivers and a pretty good running back and a pretty, I would say okay defense. I wouldn't say they're like top 10 defense. I'd say they're like an okay opportunistic type of, defense. I would think in that building, they have to be thinking, hey, our ceiling is the AFC Championship game.
So let me ask you this. You don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't go into the season having them same type of expectations?
AFC Championship game? No.
The Pittsburgh Steelers in that building. You said the building.
Right, in the building. No.
You don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers, interesting.
They missed the playoffs.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
It has a lot to do with it.
Why? So you're saying in the building because they missed the playoffs last year that they don't have AFC
don't be so much focused on the building and just focus on the steps.
Well, that's what you said about Jacksonville. So that's what I'm saying.
No, but focus on what I'm saying here. Jacksonville made the playoffs last year and they won a playoff game and got to a divisional round that I would say nobody expected them, and I don't even think nobody really expected them to really take the Chiefs to the brink.
I don't think they expected them to do that.
Right. So, but they got there. That's the point. They got there. Okay. They got there. So, you go in the offseason and you say, hey, if we can do that, then, man, we should be able to get to the conference championship game. With Pittsburgh, and this is Kenny Pickett's rookie year last year, right?
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rookie year last year, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you missed the playoffs, but Kenny Pickett had some come from behind wins, in those final 3 weeks of the season, whatever. I don't know in that building that they're saying our expectations should be the AFC Championship
game. When did Trevor Lawrence make his jump? What year did Trevor Lawrence make his jump?
Sophomore year.
This is Kenny Pickett's sophomore year.
And Lawrence went to a divisional round game.
Right. So if you're saying
not AFC Championship.
I get that. But
right.
you got to take the whole team in totality.
Right.
Last year, this Pittsburgh defense was a good defense. Led the league
sure.
in interceptions and turnovers.
Sure.
I believe top 5 in sacks. Like this team this team had the defense. Only thing I believe in the building.
Yep.
The only thing they felt they lacked to compete was the offensive line and their quarterback coming along.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the
running and to a degree the running game getting going a little bit to a degree.
But we had that fixed by the end of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the year, we was a top team running the ball. So in their mind, going into the season, that was the only things they had to fix, and they did a lot on that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in Siamalu, drafting Broderick Jones, you know what I'm saying, and
mm-hmm.
that team had a nucleus because that team had started, that offensive line started all 17 games last year.
Right.
Nobody was injured.
Right.
And you saw them as the season progressed that they started to get it together.
Yep.
So all that to say, and because we kind of pushing this point longer than they got to be, is that I think that Jacksonville had the same kind of expectations that Pittsburgh had. Another thing that you're leaving out in on Pittsburgh's side is pedigree, man. Pedigree, man. Pittsburgh is still the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. Like I get it.
When you say pedigree, and I look, because everyone throws the name out there, and rightfully so. When you talk pedigree, you're talking division titles, championships, Super Bowls, things like that. The standard. When we're talking pedigree, those are the things that come up. I saw this on Twitter earlier today. The last Pittsburgh Steelers playoff win was the 2016 season
against Kansas City.
Against Alex Smith and the Chiefs.
Yep.
And that's how many years ago? 7 years ago at this point now.
Yep.
And that was with a different quarterback on the roster.
Yep.
He's
different running back. AB was there.
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell was there. David DeCastro was there.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
That doesn't change with that. Those are just players moving in and out of the building. The standard
sure
has been the standard when we've been a good team and when we've been a bad team. Even like it's, I hate, but yeah, I'm gonna flex on my team. We gonna flex. Any team that comes to play Pittsburgh, whether we got a winning record or a losing record,
sure.
You coming to play
of
Pittsburgh,
course.
You coming to play a football game.
Of course.
You sleep, then you can get your ass punched in the mouth.
Of course.
So that pedigree permeates more than Jacksonville has. Obviously they're a newer, not as old as a team, not as
right. Like the pedigree's different. Like that's different. Like when it comes to that.
Those points go to Pittsburgh's side. So I get you on, and again I'll close the conversation close that conversation.
Yeah.
I get you that Jacksonville had achieved last year. They overachieved last year to some. But now we know what we're looking at. We know what to expect from them. So it's a question of does Trevor Lawrence rise, and B, is the team around them as good? Is the team around them really that good? I mean, because keep it a buck.
Mm-hmm.
I like their receiving core, but it's a crew of number twos.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I get it.
Etienne is a dog. Don't get it twisted. He's a dog. That is the bright spot on that offense with him and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, all right.
Yeah. look, I'll say this just to answer the question about what Pittsburgh Steelers are thinking in the building coming into the season. Yep. I'll just say this. I think their expectation was get in the playoffs, win a playoff game, get to the divisional round. Based on, and again, I'm basing it off of last year because I'm thinking about you got a new quarterback, you got some different players, and it's baby steps, right? It's okay. We get to this point, had a good season, overachieved a little bit, but we got there. Now we got to take it up to the next level, the following year. I'm looking at it from that lens. But I hear you. But I hear you about the pedigree.
I think they had the same expectations. But we'll move on.
The pedigree, that's important.
I think they have the same expectations, both teams. But like I said, we can move on.
Yeah. Have we gotten to the Bengals yet?
I'm sure we haven't because we spent a lot of time on that pedigree, that playoff conversation. The Bengals lose.
Hey, what did I say? What did I say last week, bro?
Yeah, I mean,
look, I say, man?
My head. I'll be honest with you, man. My head don't hurt, man. Anytime a team loses in the North, it's always a plus for Pittsburgh.
What did I say? that boy CJ Stroud, man. It's that nigga, man.
But yeah, and shout out to him. By the way, he's him, and I said it when they fucked us up. So let's be clear. I said that. That's
the nigga, yeah.
But I ain't gonna hold you.
What's up? What up?
Little too early. Little MVP conversations. A little too early.
The only thing that I think we should be having conversations about when it comes to awards and CJ Stroud, for certain, rookie of the year lock.
Offensive rookie of the year.
For certain, a lock for that, right?
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans, coach of the year. I won't say it's a lock because I'm looking at what Minnesota's. Because I'm looking at what Minnesota's coach is doing right now with the situation they got. We'll see how that plays out. There's some other situations going on, but he's definitely in the running for that. Like he's a legit candidate for that. MVP, and maybe it's just me because I base it off of history and I base it off what this league awards this award to. Rookie quarterbacks don't win MVPs,
And he hasn't done it. Like, look, I get it. He played great football. And he's statistically there.
Yep.
You're not winning. You're not winning rookie of the year, and you're a 4-4 team. You're not winning.
And I was just gonna say, and somebody on TV said it. They're just not a good enough, consistent football team. They're just not a consistent football team. I mean, look at the schedule. Like the past 5-6 weeks, man. Had some incredible wins, right? But the two losses within that stretch were walk-off field goals by Atlanta and Carolina. And I get it. Nobody expected the Texans to be at this point, but if we're gonna have that conversation about MVP talk with CJ Stroud, you can't get walked off by the worst team in the league, and you can't get walked off by the Atlanta Falcons.
Which, by the way, that also takes, in my opinion, takes D'Amico Ryans out of the coach of the year. Sure, he's a candidate. He's still a candidate, but I don't see him winning. Getting dog walk like
really? That. You think that did it for him? You think the Carolina loss did it for him?
I think the Carolina loss and the Atlanta Falcons loss because here's the thing: they wake up to play the tough guys, but go to sleep to play the lesser competition.
And that's a fact. I'm not going to dispute.
I mean, that's what evidence would suggest. I don't pretend to watch all the Texans games.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I just think I think. When we're having that coach of the year conversation, I think it's premature to say that Carolina loss is why he's not going to win it because they're only a game out of the AFC South. They're only a game out, and the way that and look, I'm just saying, I'm not saying they're going to win the South, but I'm just telling you, based on how Jacksonville looks right now, and again, it's right now. Right now, I think those two teams going in two different directions right now. And when you look at when you look at the Texans schedule, and I get it, they just lost to a couple of NFC South teams. We don't think the South is any good in that other conference, but I mean, it is favorable for them to win the AFC South, and I think if they do,
I'll take it back.
If they win the AFC South, I think D'Amico Ryans gets that award.
I think he's definitely in the running if he wins the South.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to win the South.
Yep.
And and that's just where I stand with it. So those losses hurt. I mean, because even if he lost the South and made it to the playoffs, then all right, we can have a conversation. But
I can see that.
Yeah, but nah. Right where it stands right now, this conversation is always fluent. Let's be clear.
Of course,
it's always fluent.
Of course,
of course. I don't think he's winning Coach of the Year. You obviously have to put him into consideration, but I don't think he wins it.
Nah, I got you. So with these Bengals, man, and it's funny because I'm taking clips of the previous episode and I'm posting them and stuff, and there was this conversation about we kind of fell for the bait with the Bengals and their slow start this year and previous years, and now they've had some good win. They beat the Seahawks at home. They went out to San Francisco and destroyed them during that their losing streak, and now they come home. And, CJ Stroud's getting all this love after, to come from behind win the previous week. He goes into Cincinnati. And look, because I paid attention to the score of this game. They were down. The Bengals were down 27-17. Like, from start to finish, the Texans were giving them that work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Bengals, fourth quarter, Joe Burrow threw a couple of interceptions that, would have, if you didn't throw them interceptions, they probably come out and win that game. If Tyler Boyd catches that touchdown at the end there, you're talking about them winning that game instead of going for the, the field goal there.
I'll let you finish your setup.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is that, and we're definitely going to get to the Buffalo conversation. The Bengals, I think, are in some trouble. And I'm here for it. I am here for it.
I agree with you there, but I don't think they're in trouble. They like you said, Tyler Boyd doesn't drop that, and they win the game.
Of course. So
I don't think they're in trouble.
If it was a spliff, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But I don't think they're in trouble because he dropped that touchdown. But let's be clear, that's what it's on. That touchdown drop.
Yeah. No question.
They was getting their ass smoked, and then they still found a way to
be in position to get there. Yeah,
right. And Tyler Boyd catches that way more times than he doesn't.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
no doubt. And who knows if he does catch that and they go up by 4 points?
4 points. Yeah.
Who knows if that man Stroud come back on him and do the same thing like he did last week? Who knows? Who knows?
Like you said, if an if was a split.
Yep.
Yep. But I don't think the Bengals are in trouble because of that. I don't at all.
Yeah. I'll dig a little bit deeper into like their conference record and like who they've beat so far, because they've played the NFC West already. Like the whole division, they swept the West already, right?
Yeah.
And now you're looking at a 1-4. Well, no, not so much. I'm looking forward to what they got on the schedule. I'll get to that, but I'm looking at their conference record. They're 1-4 in the conference, and that ain't where you want to be at, man. And I get it. All it takes is a few wins, to kind of get back to it, to even it out. But to have 4 conference losses midway through the year, when you got to see Pittsburgh twice, right? When you still got to see the Browns, and you got to see the Ravens, and you got to see the Chiefs coming up on the schedule. Like that's a lot of losses in the conference.
Haven't we seen this from the Cincinnati Bengals?
We saw it last year. We saw it, particularly last year.
Yeah.
Particularly last year, we saw that. But
their Super Bowl run was full of this. Their Super Bowl run was full of this. They was not a good, quote unquote, not a good team, and then at the end of the season, they beat Kansas City late, and then they went into the playoffs and did what they did.
But I'm talking about beating. I'm talking strictly about beating beating some big heavyweights. Last year, particularly, it was the Chiefs. It was Tampa at the time, and I know, Buffalo. Yeah. It was Tampa. Well, Buffalo, they didn't finish that game. That was the Damar Hamlin thing.
Right. They didn't finish that game.
But Tampa, even though we felt a little differently about Tampa, but number 12 was still there.
Yeah.
And they beat a couple of other like worthy opponents. It was like 4 games in a row when they won all 4 of those games. This year, man. And look, maybe you're right. Maybe we don't want to fall for the bait again. Maybe we don't, we don't want to.
I'm just saying we've seen them do it before.
Sure.
2 years.
I think they're in trouble, bro.
I just don't. I just don't.
I think they're in trouble.
But let's be clear. I hope they are. I hope they are. That's
right.
Right. That helps Pittsburgh.
I hope they are.
I don't think they are. I don't.
Yeah, it starts Thursday night, man. Bengals Ravens. It starts
right.
there.
And
my team's pissed off about the loss from the other day. So
how you think Tyler Boyd feel?
Sure. You got 2 teams pissed off at losses. Coming into a short week. We gonna see what happens. They need it more than we do. I'll say that they need it more than we do, and then we'll see what happens after that. Like I said, Pittsburgh twice, Cleveland again, Chiefs on the schedule, Minnesota's on that schedule too. So we'll see what happens there, man.
Well, hold on.
What's up?
Minnesota ain't no big boy team, man?
Well, they're not. I agree with you. They're not a big boy team.
All right. Don't put me.
I mean, they're 6-4. I mean, it's not. They're not gonna go quietly. They're not. They're clearly not gonna go quietly here. So,
who they just beat?
What, Minnesota?
Yeah.
They just beat
Arizona. Yes.
They beat Arizona. Was it Arizona?
I believe it. Don't quote. I believe it was Arizona, and then they beat.
No, they beat the Falcons. No, they beat the Falcons.
The Falcons.
Wrong red jersey. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Falcons. They just beat the Saints.
Come on, bro.
We both picked the Saints to beat them, though.
That's fine. But,
I mean,
but let's not make this. But
look. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. They're not a big boy team. Like they're not a big boy team. But when you're defying odds the way Minnesota is right now with their situation
against trash teams,
that's a team that's a team you got to take serious. All I'll say is you got to take them seriously.
Yeah. I mean, any given Sunday.
And when that week comes, when they play them, I'm most likely going to pick Cincinnati. Like I'm not gonna shy away from that. I'm just saying, like, that's not a game that they could just say, hey, we could just show up and all we got to do is do us.
But based on where they're at in the standings, they can't chill no way.
Yeah.
So we know know Cincinnati can't chill.
They can't chill. Yeah.
It's almost like that's how they like it. Like they like to lose and get behind. And then decide, all right, now we got incentive to keep on going until we get where we're going.
It's 8 straight playoff games for Cincinnati coming up. Wouldn't be the first time. Sure.
Wouldn't be the first time is all I'm saying.
Sure. They're gonna lose some more though. They'll lose a couple more at least. They're losing a couple of more at least.
Look, I hope they both to Pittsburgh.
They losing a couple more.
I hope they both to Pittsburgh.
And when you're talking about tiebreakers and stuff, look, they just lost to the Texans. That's a tiebreaker situation right there.
I agree. I don't think they're in trouble, though, man. I don't think they're in trouble. Yeah. It's too early for me to say that they're in trouble.
Yeah. All right. We'll see, man. We'll see. But I did bring up Minnesota, and I do want to give a shout-out again to Josh Dobbs. For putting on another, good performance, man. And like I said last week, man, I think the way the playoff situation in the NFC right now is, I don't see anybody that can catch the Vikings that's worthy that can catch them.
I think it's between the Vikings and the Commanders for the 7th spot.
The Commanders, you still on that? I guess you got to be, right? I guess you got to be because you. I mean, kind of, yeah. You predicted it, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, look, man, Sam Howell, however you want to slice it, Sam Howell is.
He's had some good games. He's
He's on top of passing yards.
Yeah.
He's like number 3 or 4 in touchdowns. He's not like he's handling business.
Yeah.
He's
been inconsistent though. I would say this. He's had some great, particularly against Philadelphia. He's had some great games against Philadelphia. They just haven't been able to come up with the W's.
Good game against Seattle as well.
Good game. Yeah, good game against Seattle. Haven't been able to come up with the dub. They got to come.
On him either.
It's not. But they got to come up with some dubs at some point, man. And
I agree with.
And you just traded away a couple of guys that could have helped you down the stretch.
All that I agree with all that, but based on the NFC as a conference, I gotta think it's between the Commanders and the Vikings for the number 7 spot. I mean, we know it's going to be Dallas,
and Seattle.
Right. That's who it's going to be in the
5 and the 6. The 5 and the 6. Yep.
And then it's going to be it's going to be between the Vikings and the Commanders. There's nobody else in the NFC.
I don't think. I think the Vikings.
You think it's a lock? You think it's a lock?
I think at this point it's a lock, bro. I just don't see like the South teams, like whoever.
Right.
Like I don't see any of this.
Nobody's getting
nobody
there.
in the South is getting there. Chicago, forget it. Green Bay, forget it.
Yeah, you ain't gotta go through it. We know. I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I hear you. The Commanders, I hear you. That was one of your picks for wild cards. I get it, but they just haven't shown me, from a consistency standpoint, that they could be able to make that run, late into the season. And Ron is still the coach. I'll just throw that out there.
I ain't gave up on him yet.
You ain't give up on him?
I don't think they're going nowhere in the playoffs, but
sure. We know he upped out of there after the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall.
Yeah,
so.
In my opinion, yeah.
But shout out to Josh Dobbs though.
Yeah, facts. Buffalo.
Look, man, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna spend this money.
Man, I tell you, bruh.
Shout out my homegirl T, man. I seen her on Twitter. She said, "Fuck Josh Allen."
Oh, really?
That was the tweet.
Really? Yeah.
I might be paraphrasing, but it was something similar to that.
Well, look, man. So they fired the offensive coordinator today, which I don't think does anything, to be honest with you.
What's the problem? I mean, look, it's Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen.
The problem or problems?
I mean, sure, it's more than one problem. Sure, it's more than one problem.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen is the problem.
Of course. If we had to rank problems, yes, Josh Allen is at the top of the list for 100%.
That. 100%.
Injuries is another problem on the defensive side. They're gonna have to live with that. And they're gonna have to scheme up however they, scheme up based on the opponent. This running game. You should
score points on Denver, bro. If you're Josh Allen, you should score points on Denver, bro.
This running game is it's a problem. I mean,
100%. It's always been a problem.
Yeah, always, right? Always.
So here's the point. Here, you know what I'm saying? Like it ain't no whole bunch of Denver. I get they've been playing a little bit better ball.
Let's give them some. Yeah, let's show them some love.
Some credit.
Show them some love because 3 weeks they beat Kansas City. They beat and they beat Buffalo. Give them some credit. They're not going anywhere. I know they're people want to say
playing chippy.
They're
competing.
Defensively, they're better. I will say defensively they've gotten better since the 70-point blowout.
But I don't give a damn. If you are Josh Allen, you should be able to score more points than your defense allows Denver to score. Period.
Sure.
It's on Josh Allen.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck
sure.
about none of the injuries. I'm sure those are all things that would have made the win easier if Buffalo were to win.
Sure.
But if you are Josh Allen and you are Josh Allen,
you can't turn the ball over. I'm sorry. You can't turn it. Oh, you can't turn the ball over.
Obviously.
You can't. Your running back can't fumble the ball, and he almost lost the third fumble on that run.
100%. Josh Allen, what people love and regard, why they regard Josh Allen to be the guy in one of the top 5 in the league at quarterback is his ability to take a team, stretch plays, throw the ball,
run plays. Sure.
So if that's who you are, and that's what they built the team around, you being that, you just got to score more points than you allow Denver to score on defense. Period. There's no excuse. And yes, you are right about all the other the other issues for the Buffalo Bills as a team.
And they were still good enough to beat them. They are. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. Yesterday's team, Buffalo, was still good enough to beat the Denver Broncos.
It is on your leader.
And again, all the credit to the Broncos. 4 turnovers. The only thing that could have cost the Broncos that game was their time management and their special teams was not the greatest. Like when they
fuck all that. I'm trying to kick Josh Allen back in right now.
Sure, you can do that. You can do that. That's fine. I'm just saying what's on my mind right now here.
Yeah.
Denver really should have blew it, right? Like they really should have blew this game. That time management situation, setting up that field goal. I got a question because someone brought this up about the 13 seconds from the divisional playoff game between Kansas City and Buffalo years ago. Someone brought up the 13 seconds, and they said that Josh Allen has messed, or Josh Allen is broken. I think that was the phrase that they used. Josh Allen is broken from those 13 seconds, and it seems like he is playing as if he's in those kinds of situations, which quite frankly, in my opinion, I think you need to be playing like that anyway, whether it's 13 seconds or 60 minutes of football.
I'm confused.
What are you confused about?
How did he play in those 13 seconds?
No. We're talking about the 13 seconds that Patrick Mahomes took to get his team down the field to score. Because as we were watching that game, we was like, yo, this is Buffalo's game. Like, you remember those last 2-3 minutes in that football game? We thought, hey, Josh Allen, he slayed the dragon. Like, this is it. Right. And, Patrick did what he did. And, I guess the point the guy was trying to make was that Josh Allen plays like he's always going to be in that kind of situation. So
yeah, I'm not getting that corollary. I'm are you saying that he's playing like he's he's holding the ball because he's got to score every drive? I don't understand.
Maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I
don't understand that at all.
Maybe that's what he's trying to say. But
because at the end of the day, if I could understand some trauma from Josh Allen's end from that. But at the end of the day, he had.
Maybe that's what he was alluding to. Maybe that's what he was alluding to. The trauma, and maybe he just worded it incorrectly. But I'm just paraphrasing what he was saying. But to kind of get to my point here, when you don't have timeouts, in the Broncos in that situation, I honestly thought they was just gonna spike the ball, stop the clock, and just kick the field goal without actually rushing out to the field to kick the field goal. Instead, they took the knee, they let the clock run, they rushed the offense off the field, they rushed the special teams on the field, and at that point, I was like, oh, he's gonna miss this because they're rushing it, and they've been shaky for certain moments throughout the game yesterday. And sure enough, he misses the kick, and if Buffalo so stupidly didn't have 12 men on the field, Buffalo comes away with this win like that easy. You can't make mistakes like that to have 12 men on the field in that kind of a situation. The coach was saying something about we was coming from a dime package to like our to like they regular package, and then somebody was like, well, what the hell you doing in dime package for in that kind of a situation, which I still don't quite understand, but needless to state, you shouldn't have 12 men on the field in that situation.
Yeah, all that to say, I'm getting ready. I'm trying to think about what I might could buy with this little payout when Buffalo possibly don't make the playoffs, bro. Because Josh Allen playing games.
Yeah.
He playing games.
We talked about it, man. We talked about the schedule, bro.
He playing games.
It's not looking good.
He playing games, and that schedule is a schedule, and for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you losing to Denver is like, yo, what the fuck are y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are y'all doing?
But that should cement it, like that. Like to me, and I get it. We got to see how they do against these guys.
Yeah,
but
they could turn the corner just like
yeah, they could be. Yeah, they'll probably beat the Jets at home on Sunday. And then they got to go to Philadelphia, and that's not going to be an easy feat. Yeah. They're still
right back. Buffalo fans are right back if they beat the Jets and then go to Philly and beat Philly. So
well, sure. If that happens, yes. If that happens, yes.
So
I'm not counting on it. I'm not counting on it.
I'm not counting on it either. But I'm just saying that it's just if you can say that it's too much game, there is so much left to be played for Baltimore, then you got to say the same thing for Buffalo because of who Buffalo is.
You said Baltimore.
Yeah, so when we talked earlier, you said you wasn't concerned about Baltimore because there's so
we're
much.
We're 7-3 on top of the North.
Sure.
Buffalo. I get it. I understand. Buffalo is out of the playoff picture right now. They're the number 10 seed in the AFC conference right now, with a brutal schedule coming up.
I hear you. I'm just saying that
I don't know that that's the parallel you want to look at. Now, if you brought up Cincinnati, I think those two situations, Cincinnati and Buffalo, when it comes to where they're at in the standings with what they got coming up, I think that's a better parallel to make.
My point is that Buffalo can turn it on and get into the playoffs, and if they get into the playoffs, it's any man's game in the playoffs.
Sure.
That's what the point was.
It ain't happening.
Games. I don't know that it's not happening. I don't think it's.
I know. It ain't happening.
Look. I need to get this money, so I hope it don't happen. Mm-hmm. So I'm good either way.
I'm surprised you even acting this way, bro. You got some money on the table, bro.
I'm just saying you gotta respect. Look, man. If we still believe that Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback, and him
not this year,
huh?
Not this year.
Okay, so where would you put him this year right now?
This year, I might put him. If I'm thinking about it, I might put him
top
around
10,
10.
15.
I might put him outside.
15.
I might put him outside 10. I might put him outside of 10. I'd say maybe 11 or 12. I might put him over there. Yeah.
So you telling me he couldn't turn it on in 8 games and possibly get that into the playoffs? If he stayed at number 10 or number 11, whatever you're saying, you saying he couldn't? Josh Allen, that you know from history, couldn't turn it on and get into the playoffs?
But it's not just him. It's not just him. Like I talked about when we opened up the Buffalo discussion. This team has other problems.
But we know
aside from that,
had other problems.
Not injuries on the defense. Running game, I'll give you that, but not injuries on the defense that really matter.
Name me a dominant pass rusher that Buffalo's ever had.
A dominant
never happened, right? He's never had a dominant. They've never had a dominant pass rush. They've had good defenses. I'm not.
Right. I think
don't take this as me saying.
I think their scheme. Right. I think their scheme. I think is compromised with the players that they don't have right now.
Milano is a big piece missing. I'm not
Trey White
with that. I'm saying
and the other and the other cat.
Tre'Davious White is not the same cornerback. I get that they're going to miss him, but he ain't that guy that we were talking about, 2 years ago. He ain't that same cornerback. But all that to say is that this team, no matter how many injuries they have this year, is predicated on the ability of Josh Allen to stretch plays and score points in situations where people wasn't expecting them to score points, meaning stretching plays.
He can do that. He can do that. But
Josh Allen can still do that.
He can do that, and the Bills still can lose some games because of the issues they have on defense.
Okay, I don't want to keep arguing the Bills' point. I hear you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the way you're ruling them out so fast as if their team isn't predicated on the one guy who's still there. It's crazy to me.
With the schedule they got coming up, it's not just one thing. It's a combination of things, bruh.
But if you believe,
that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's not just one thing.
But I heard you every single time you said it. I'm saying that the Buffalo Bills they've done this before. They've beaten tough teams strictly, but majority on the arm and playmaking ability of Josh Allen, which is what catapulted him to being a top 5. Like, even though he's not playing that way this year, if you do a survey in the past 3 years, Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in the league.
But he's not now.
Okay, I hear you, bro.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, I don't want to keep talking around in circles about some shit I don't really care about. Your point. You're saying they're done. I'm saying they're
cooked.
Not
I think they're cooked, and it's for several reasons. That's all I'm saying.
You. Let's move on.
That's all. What else we got?
Let's move on. Detroit Lions. I know you put Detroit Lions in the conversation. Look, man, they're going to be at least a number 2 seed.
Yep.
Ain't nothing else for me to talk about. Ain't nothing else. I don't even like. They're going to at least be a number 2 seed in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. MVP race. We talked about that, right?
Well, I think it was more so. I think it was just more so centered, but I think it was more so centered around CJ Stroud. It wasn't necessarily like we're talking about other candidates for MVP per se.
Well, where you at? Where you at? Number 1 for you right now.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't have a number 1, man.
You don't have a number 1? Okay.
Yeah, I just think with the league right now, there's really nobody that's really kind of stood out. Really, I mean, I know earlier in the year when Tua was, doing his thing and all that, and they kind of cooled off a bit. I guess the knock on the Dolphins is they don't beat good teams. So I don't know if that's what dropped his stock. I still think he's a candidate. I don't know that he's my number 1 just yet. Tyreek Hill, I think you got to put up there somewhere in there. I mean, he's on pace to break that. He's on pace to break that record. And we talked about with like running backs. If you break those records, then you got to get it. You got to be in the conversation. Or a conversation, right, in the conversation. I'm thinking about defensive players like a T.J. Watt, a Myles Garrett. I'm thinking about those types of players right there.
You really got Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt in the MVP race right now?
Have you seen what these guys have been doing?
Look, but in the scheme of okay, are we talking about your personal opinion or what we believe is going to happen? I think that's an important. Are we okay? Are we predicting who the MVP might be, or are we saying who we think should win?
I think we're coming up with MVP candidates at the halfway point based on their play and based on how the league looks right now. Because they're really, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but there isn't nobody that really stands this much over everybody else at this point. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah, I agree there, but I don't. But there's no. But with that being said, look, man.
And I get it. Defensive players don't win MVP. I get it.
Yeah, like
I get it. I get it.
Right. So again, that's why I asked: are you looking from the scope of I would like somebody different to win it, or are you looking at it from the scope of who the NFL is actually going to deem to be an MVP? Because then let's be clear, T.J. Watt, love him to death. He is not in an MVP conversation right now as far as realistically going to win. Myles Garrett, same kind of conversation. Tyreek Hill, maybe if I don't know where he's at. I know he's leading the league, but I don't know exactly where he's at yardage wise. I don't know exactly where he's at yardage wise and how that looks. Like you said, he's projected, but I don't know at week 8 or week 10. I'm sorry,
right?
That right now he's in that conversation. I think wide receivers and running backs for those reasons, for those extraordinary records. I don't think you start to see that until like week 12, week 13. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to oh, he is really, really like 3/4 of the way. He's really close to getting to that record. So I don't think you really see that until later on, 75% of the season. For me right now, it's Mahomes is in there by default because of his name. Lamar Jackson is there. And
really?
I think he's there. I think he's number 3. I think he's number 3, but number 1 for me is Jalen Hurts.
Are you basing your list off of you know for a fact that the MVP is going to a quarterback? Like, are you in that mindset? Because look, it's a quarterback award. Let's be clear. Yeah. It's a quarterback award unless one of the other positions does something crazy.
Right, and because I don't believe that I can, like we're talking about Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
I get what they're saying he's projected to do. I understand that. I don't believe that shit until we're talking about week 12, week 13.
No, sure. No, I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like if we're talking about week 11, he had a 230-yard wide receiving, yard game.
Yeah.
And a touchdown or 2, you know what I'm saying? All right. Shit, this nigga got 1,600 yards in week 13. Okay, all right, you know what I'm saying?
No, I got you.
We having a conversation.
I think what's gonna happen is I think the MVP is gonna be determined by who's played down the stretch, gets noticed the most, right, and who's doing the most, right? Like I just heard somebody talk about Dak Prescott as a potential MVP candidate.
That's a good conversation.
I've heard that. I had to think about that for a minute, and I said, you know what? He's there. He's up there.
That's a good conversation.
He's certainly up there. Yeah.
I might even put Dak above Lamar Jackson right this second.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. On top of the fact he's a Dallas Cowboy, and Cowboys get a lot of notoriety. So,
yeah, but right now for me it's Jalen Hurts. Right now.
Jalen Hurts is your number 1.
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm not mad at that. I
think I'm going Jalen Hurts. I'm going Patrick Mahomes on name. I think I'm going Dak Prescott. I think I'm going. See, now I'm torn between Tua and Lamar Jackson. But I think for the season, if we're talking about the entire season,
I think it's Tua. I would put Tua.
Yeah. And then Lamar Jackson, right.
I would put Tua. I would put, if I had to put guys over Lamar right now, it's Jalen, it's Dak, Tua, Mahomes, and I think that's it. But just for the sake of conversation about the other positions, and another name that we didn't talk about, McCaffrey. Was kind of doing his thing also, but I don't think he's going to do anything extraordinary to actually win it. But if we're just talking about MVP conversations, then yes, his name deserves to be mentioned in that conversation.
Yeah, but see, here's why I say no. Not because he doesn't, not because of his play, but it's like, my nigga, we just named 5 people. Like,
sure.
I ain't interested in 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 if we talking about the MVP race. I just especially if you're talking about positions that traditionally don't win the position. So I can't put Tyreek Hill there right now. I can't put CMC there right now because they already at a disadvantage based on their position. So right now, if you can't make my top 5 in an off position right now, then it's kind of hard for me to really put you in that conversation. Again, this is a fluent list. So obviously things can change by week 13.
Yep.
right now, man, like nobody on off positions has done something so extraordinary that it could put them at top 5 or maybe even 6 at an off position. So I can't really have you in a serious MVP conversation.
All right. What else
Yeah.
we got?
Winston Watkins is a high school wide receiver who was committed to Colorado and then said, I'm decommitting from Colorado because he don't even know that Deion Sanders will be there when it's time for him to go to college. Why do you think a high school kid would have that thought?
Oh, this is a high school cat.
This is a high school kid.
Okay, yeah, because I saw you put this in the notes, and I really didn't investigate the story further. I assumed that this
I saw
was
it as a headline.
Okay.
I didn't even go look at the story up.
Yeah, I assumed he was already in college.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have an opinion on this, just based on me thinking he's in college. But since he's not in college and he's a high schooler, that my opinion doesn't matter at this point. But to
what was your opinion? If he was a college student,
if he was, my opinion was that he had some intel. I mean, it's nothing.
Okay.
It was nothing really earth shattering. It was just something more like, okay, he's in these circles, and these coaches and these players, they talk, they have conversations, and maybe he knows something that the general public doesn't know. Yeah. So that's was my conclusion. But
Gotcha.
Now you're talking about the guy's a high schooler, and he's coming with this conclusion. That's different, man. That hits different.
Colorado is, I mean, obviously, falling off of the map from all the earlier hype in the season.
Yeah, I ain't gonna front, bro. I ain't gonna front, yo. I have to call myself a bandwagoner because ever since
I knew I was.
Ever since what game was it? They blew the 26-0 lead. I forget who the opponent was, but after that,
I fell off after they lost to USC. Man.
After that, man, I just and I don't know if it's because I've had to go to soccer games on Saturday and my Saturdays were just all tied up, but
nigga, the hype died down. It's very, 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 very clear. So not only did they lose, they lost. I mean, they got smashed by Oregon. Cool,
yep.
All right.
Yep.
They lose to USC, and it's like, well, at least they fought a good game. Mm-hmm. They had another like late night Eastern time game that nobody knew about. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is that when they lost in 2 games, celebrities and all that shit stopped coming. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. Look, I knew. I don't know why everybody else didn't know. We were all bandwagon fans, all of us, and it's only predicated on winning because that's all that Deion pushes. So when you're not winning, it's like, all right. And look, by no stretch of the imagination, do I think like Deion is in over his head or, like none of those types of things. I think that this is a reasonable expectation after all the hype died down. I remember saying it when Oregon smacked him. Like, look, man, I get it. It's hype. It's all those things. And as much that Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach, you
think that was a turning point?
No, I think that Oregon game was a turning point, but I think it was. I think the icing on the top of the cake was that speech leaking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By the way, Ophelia's Lo-Fi is out on all streaming platforms. That my new Eat Lo-Fi beat tape is out, and I put Dan Lanning's speech on the beat tape because that's what I was doing that day. I was making the beat tape when the game was on. Mm-hmm. But that seemed to be that's a. When we look back in the history of times, like we're gonna remember that Dan Lanning speech if nothing comes from Colorado after this in Deion's run, which I don't believe, by the way.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be those deep historians conversations about how Dan Lanning kind of read them for filth. And I don't believe that to be true. I don't think Deion doing it for clicks and likes and all those types of things. But from the outside looking in, you could see how somebody could look at that program and see that.
Yeah.
And they've been losing, and they've been losing ever since. They've been losing to trash teams. They've been losing to good teams. Like like we have
Okay.
totally disconnected.
Okay, yeah, because like I said,
Bandwagon fans.
my Saturdays have been occupied since these soccer games have started going on, and I'll be honest with you, even if Colorado was still winning up to this point, I probably still wouldn't follow because my Saturdays was just so. I wouldn't have watched the game. I wouldn't have watched the games. Yeah. No, I wouldn't know because obviously they would, they would be all over the cycle and stuff.
Exactly.
But I was more so talking about like, cause what was the game? The real late night game. This was before the Oregon game.
I don't remember. I don't fucking remember.
Oh no, it was the Colorado State. That I watched that entire game. That was the double overtime game till like 3 a.m. Sunday morning. I watched that entire game, bruh. I never watch a football game that late into the morning in my life, bruh.
I fell the fuck asleep.
You hear in my life? You hear me, my nigga?
I fell asleep.
I ain't never watched a game like that, bruh. So it was no way I was gonna be able to do that consistently.
Okay.
Throughout the season.
Just and not to kick Dion back in, but since the loss to USC, they beat Arizona State.
Yeah, that's right.
They lose to Stanford.
That was the 26-0 blown lead.
Okay. Then they lose to UCLA. Then they lose to Oregon State. Then they lose, and then they just recently lost to Arizona.
So they're 3-7. Is that is that right? Or 4-6?
I think I don't know how good of a counter I am. I'm trying to find the record.
Quickly.
I'm not a good counter. No, don't count on me to do anything that.
But to the point, it sounds like they're 3-7, 4-6 somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Based on Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 3-1, 3-2. 4-2, 4-3. Am I doing this wrong? I didn't fuck the count up. Fuck.
They're 3-7, 3-8, something like that. They're 4-6. Okay. But I don't think you mentioned the opinion about the high schooler and what he said. What'd you think about that?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Part of me wants to say, I mean, this is a high school kid. He's a top recruit, so I'm sure he gets some type of intel in today's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think he's. I wonder if he's concerned about him doing at Jackson State. Like if he's good, because I don't know if he's coming out this year. I don't know when the kid's coming out.
Yeah.
But look, man, he could decide. Let's be clear, man. No shade to Dion. He did leave kids. I don't know, leaving Jackson State. He left
if
kids
you did it
out
before,
there.
What's the song? You could get it before, you could do it again.
You could do it again. So, that's the only thought that came to my mind is that's why maybe I'm lying. The other thought that came to my mind is that what if he, this ain't Jackson State no more. This is like these teams. A lot of these teams that I was reading off are ranked teams. Like Arizona State is 19, and
some of them teams are
Oregon
going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think Oregon State was ranked 10. Arizona was ranked 19.
Yeah, Washington is ranked pretty high, to my understanding.
Washington was 8. Yeah. Oh, but that was last year. They didn't play Washington this year.
They didn't play Washington this year. I'm just saying that they're highly ranked this season.
Well, I'm just talking about in the scheme of.
Oh, you're talking about the teams on their schedule.
Right. Did the kid think that Dion might be in over his head and that Dion won't have the job in 2 years or 3 years, however long it's going to take for the kid to,
right.
High school.
Right.
Or 2 years. I'm sure he's a sophomore or higher.
I would say that that's not even a bad thought to have because some people are of the opinion that Deion has to win now, not just because he's Deion Sanders, but because he's a black man who is out there, who talks a lot. Right. And, you in a profession that not a lot of black people get these, opportunities. You're in a top 5 conference, you know what I mean? Right. This team, this conference is breaking up as we speak and potentially could be in the Big 12, Big 10 next season. And, the recruits and stuff, like, he gonna have to get on it like yesterday. Right. Who knows? Deion could only have 3 years to build this program to be in a college football playoff team, based off history. So
Sure. We ain't got a whole lot of time left, so let's try to run through basketball as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I promise I won't try to start an argument. In promotion, attempted promotion of the in-season tournament, the Atlanta Falcons has the funniest commercial ever.
I thought you was trying to talk about NBA teams. You talking about the Falcons, man. Come on, man.
I said the Falcons, my fault. The Atlanta Hawks, I apologize. I didn't realize I said the Falcons. The Atlanta Hawks put out the funniest in-season tournament commercial. I watched it, I laughed, but I still knew nothing about what the in-season tournament is and what the point of it is. But I just want to say shout out to the Atlanta Hawks for making a funny commercial, because it's a rarity that an NBA team would put out a funny commercial.
I ain't gonna hold you, bruh. I didn't care to watch this commercial. Like, I saw I saw somebody post it on Twitter. I just refused to click play for some reason.
It was funny, man. It was it was just it was funny. It was just parody. It was funny. It wasn't nothing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I'm not saying go back and watch it. I'm just saying that I laughed.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to shout out because laugh is medicine for the soul, Trey, and I like to laugh every now and then.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah, so shout out to the Hawks for a good laugh.
The Hawks, whatever. What's the next topic?
Get well, Kelly Oubre. Get well. He was hit by a car last week. Or was it this week?
It was this week. It was this week.
One way or the other. Get well. I know he was averaging 20 points with the Sixers when he so far I heard.
That's what's up. If it is, that's what's up.
I heard they had 4 guys averaging 20. Embiid, Oubre. I wanted to say it was Maxey and Tobias Harris, I believe, were
for the season. For the season up to this point. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All averaging 20 points.
If they did, that's what's up. It explains why the Sixers have only got one loss on the year so far. The last time I checked the standings, I know they were number 1 in the East right now. I know they've been balling. They've been really cooking. Maxey dropped the 50 piece the other night.
I saw that.
Yeah, they've been balling out. But shout out to Kelly Oubre. I didn't realize the accident was serious. In the beginning. The first report was we got hit in the rib, and you could say that's serious, but it made it seem like he went to the hospital just getting stitched up and he'll be okay, he'll be back out. But then you get more details and everything, and hit and run, more damage to the body and things like that, and it's serious, it's real. So I want to send a shout out to his family and the team, and to him, to get well soon, and hopefully, wherever the rehab process takes you, get back on that court soon as possible, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's rough.
Shout out to him. Get well soon.
Yep.
You wanted to talk about the Wizards, man. I don't, to be honest with you.
What's going on with your mans, yo?
Look, man. He wild, man. He a wild boy. I don't know. I don't read lips well, and I don't trust people well. So I don't know that's what he was saying and doing, and not paying attention to the huddle. I get that he was clearly doing that.
You said you don't read lips well. You're referring. Are you referring to the clip where
he was saying
a timeout? Okay.
Yeah, they said
Okay.
he was saying some shit, and they
Okay.
was putting captions saying.
They
I
put
don't
the
even-
captions on there.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
that. I saw the captions. I didn't see his lips move. I just read the stuff, so I'm not like you. I'm not 100% sure if that's what he said or not.
But it was clear that he was not paying attention in the huddle,
Right.
And he missed whatever play was called. He's averaging 16 a game, which is way off of the mark that I expected him to be averaging. The Wizards are trash. He is not the only problem, but when you give somebody the keys to the franchise, you want him to at least score where people want to come and see games to see him score. He is not doing that. Wes Unseld should be fired. I've seen enough. But I know that's not going to happen. So I hope they get the scoring. Look, man.
Is this Wes Unseld's third year?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen enough. I saw enough last year, but I was trying to ride with the black coach.
So what is it about Wes Unseld? Is it the rotations? Is it
it's more than anything. He is not putting the best players on the floor in the appropriate times.
Gotcha.
That's been his thing. Denny is off a contract, and he is I won't say a bright spot, but we're still kind of waiting for him to take the step. And he hasn't taken a step yet.
Right.
He hasn't taken a step yet.
Your man is wild. Your man is wild.
Like to be honest with you, man, I know you going to the game on Friday, and maybe it's best for me that I just go to work.
I mean, you were doing that anyway, but yeah. I hear you.
But I feel a little better about it now. I feel a little better about it right now. Right now, I feel a little bit better about it.
Your man shooting 3-point air balls, and
he's just doing the most, man.
Doing some stuff, man.
And look. To be totally honest, he's 25. And he went from the fourth, maybe the third or fourth scoring option to the number one scoring option. He didn't know what it would look like for teams to key in on him specifically as the number one scoring threat. He didn't know what that looked like. Second point of defense is only been 10 games. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. He is with him on right now in 10 games. Their efficiency is, ridiculously down when he's on the court. Only time he had a plus was when they beat the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Stat. Somebody posted that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
plus minus.
Look, yeah, he's been bad so far. He's been bad in 10 games, but so have the Wizards. If I could just get him to scoring some points, if I get him to his 24, 25 point average that I wanted.
Where's he at right now? 16. Okay. Yeah. Where your boy Tyus at right now?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And as much as I told you I'm gonna try to watch basketball, it hasn't started yet.
It hasn't worked out for you.
Not yet. I've watched a few games, but not really. Thank God I didn't watch that game last night because I just would have been pissed off.
Was that the one they blew the lead, the 20-point lead?
To the Raptors, yeah.
Yeah.
Cause look, man, I'm doing what I'm doing last night, working on music and shit.
Yeah.
And my phone pinged that the Wizards are up 20. I bet. I'll wait till around fourth quarter and I'll cut it on and enjoy the victory.
Yep.
I'm glad I got sidetracked, boy. I am glad I got sidetracked because I would have been in my feelings heavy. And look, man, I'm trying to protect my peace nowadays, bro. Yeah. So
that just mean you care, man. That's all that means, man.
Yeah, but I ain't got time. I ain't look. I've had the ability of taking away my desire or my expectations from Pittsburgh, and it's been an easier season for me because, look, man, I don't expect it to go nowhere. So with us winning,
they're relevant. The Steelers are relevant. Yeah,
but because my expectations are so low, I can just enjoy football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, my peace level has been, I've been working on my peace lately and I've been doing really good with that.
Yeah.
So the Wizards, maybe not good for my peace right now.
Not right this second. It's getting bad. So, I'm going to transition to these games coming up this weekend here. The two most important games this weekend are in the AFC North. We got Thursday night. Got the Bengals coming to Baltimore to play the Ravens. It's a must-win for the Bengals. Not so much for the Ravens, even though I would like to treat it as that. But I know the ramifications won't be as daunting with a loss versus a Bengals loss. But my boys have got to get this one, especially, gift wrapping that one last week. They got to come away with this one. Short week at home. You got to protect the home court. We're already, what are we, 2-2 in the division right now. I don't want to be 2-3 in the division. I'd rather be 3-2 at this point. So, yeah, the Ravens, they got to get it. They got to get it done. And then the other game, obviously, you got the Steelers going to Cleveland. 6-3 versus 6-3. I'm trying to remember the last time, both these teams had, some high stakes, the playoff game. I forgot that they both had
when they smoked that fucking boot.
Came in and smoked that ass in front of nobody. So obviously you got the Pittsburgh winning. I gotta tell you, bro.
Jalen Warren, I would say this: Pat Freiermuth looks to play Sunday. They are starting Jalen Warren for the first time, as opposed to Najee Harris. So I wonder what went into that.
Who started on Sunday? Who started?
Najee Harris has started every game.
Okay.
This is the first time. This is Jalen Warren's first start.
You got a theory on that?
Yeah, he's been the hotter hand. Look,
okay.
I think overall, Najee Harris got some soul searching to do because I believe he's the better running back. I do. When he's doing what he needs to do, I think he's a better running back than Jalen Warren. But Jalen Warren is hungry. He hungry. He run like he hungry. And so he's taking a cut. He's seeing a hole and he hitting. Najee Harris doing Najee Harris want to jump, want to hurdle every time he gets some open space. You know what I'm saying? It's just things that.
It's just how it looks, right? It's just how it looks, and then
it's things that Jalen Warren is doing right now better than Najee Harris, so he deserves a shot.
And their yards per carry, I imagine,
they're about Jalen Warren has a higher yard per carry, but it's because Jalen Warren. He's a third down back. He don't get as many carries up until recent.
Gotcha.
He wasn't getting as many carries. You know what I'm saying? He was a third down, change of pace type of guy. It's easier.
10 carries on Sunday, right? 10 carries on Sunday for him, or a little bit north of that.
I don't remember. I know he had 101 yards, and Najee had like 89.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
right.
To be honest with you, I don't put a whole bunch of stock into it. They're going to split carries.
Got you.
They're going to split carries.
It's just that he's going to get the rock first.
He's going to get the rock first. He's going to make it. Yeah, and he deserves that.
Okay,
he deserves that.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll just say this about that game. Me personally, I would pay attention to line of scrimmage play, especially against this team, against Cleveland, because they dog whooped us the second half on both lines. That's what I'll be looking for in this game. That's what I'll be looking for.
Well, Fitzpatrick ain't playing, and that's going to be a blow for us. And on top of that, we don't have no middle linebackers that can cover Njoku right now. That's going to be a problem for us. So we better get get home.
Gonna be a dog fight.
We better get to Deshaun Watson. That's just what it is.
It's gonna be a dog.
We better get to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, gonna be a dog fight for certain. Both games are gonna be dog fights. I imagine. Thursday and Sunday.
And I'm sorry. And one more thing.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett, my nigga. Get your shit together. I don't know what it is. I don't know what got to happen. Get your shit together, man. That's from get your shit together, man.
Man, it's wishful thinking, but hey, for your sake,
get your shit together.
For your sake, You might need it. You might need it, bro.
Ain't no might. We needed it. Get your shit together, man. Look, man. We drafted you in hopes, and let's be clear, Trey. I said it then.
Yep.
I was right. I didn't believe that.
Sounds like you're right. You sounds like you're right up to this point.
But I'm riding with my. That's who we drafted. I'm riding with it until it ain't that no more. Mm-hmm. But right now you got us looking crazy. You got us looking crazy.
Certainly.
As fuck.
Well,
I had somebody somebody was talking shit to me today, talking about Sam Howell better than Kenny Pickett. So that's obvious.
All I could say is there ain't been no talks for certain. There ain't been no talks about no second contract when it comes to Kenny Pickett. So
I mean, it wouldn't be in his second year though. So I mean,
sure,
them talks don't happen until third year anyway. But.
Sure, no, I got you. It's just there's some guys you look and you watch, you see their skill set, and you get to a conclusion to where it's like, okay, yeah, that guy is gonna get a payday.
But let's be clear. Point. If he stays at this, not at this, I ain't gonna say if he stays this player. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh has traditionally been loyal to the people they like, and it's clear they like Kenny Pickett.
So you think he'd take it won't be thinking he would be taking a discount of some sort, or he would take that extension that they offer.
I got more faith that they will that they will stay with Kenny Pickett in year 4, year 5 than I do that they will go draft a quarterback in his replacement.
Interesting.
And because especially if we have another winning season, like you know what I'm saying, those quarterbacks, those top tier quarterbacks that you consider franchise quarterbacks won't be there by 17, 18.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get to some of these other games, man. Detroit at home versus the Bears. We both are picking the Lions.
Are we
for
doing?
that
I'm
one.
about to say we doing picks right now.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Chargers at the Packers.
Chargers.
Yeah, you got Chargers. I'll take Green Bay just because they're at home. Antonio Pierce, he's 2-0 since taking over for the Raiders. He'll be in Miami taking on the Dolphins. I got the Dolphins in this one.
He'll be taking his first loss.
Yep. Giants at the Commanders. I'm going to take the Commanders.
I'm also going to take the Commanders.
Dallas, I assume we're both going to take Dallas over the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville.
I will take the Jaguars too. And then here's another good spot for the Texans, man. Home versus the Cardinals. And quick shout out to Kyler Murray for coming back.
Yeah.
Got the win on Sunday against the Falcons. But I do think that he makes this game more entertaining, but the Texans will get the dub in the end. Bucks at the Niners. Give me the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm trying to find some way to disagree with you at.
Yeah, right. Well, I think a game is coming. Well, 2 games I think that are coming. I think we'll disagree on. Jets at the Buffalo Bills. I think we're both going to pick the Bills.
Yeah.
Seahawks at the Rams.
Give me Seahawks. But Stafford is supposed to be playing. So
I saw that. I saw that.
But I still got to Seattle.
Division game. I haven't watched a lot of Rams games. I know they're not that good. And that could be due to not having a quarterback. But you know what? Rams. I'll pick Rams in an upset.
Respect.
I'll pick that. So now I think this game has gotten more entertaining for Sunday night. Vikings at the Denver Broncos, who've played some good football. Both teams have played some good football in the past couple of weeks. You got Denver?
Yeah.
See, this is the game I thought we were going to disagree on. I got the Broncos in this one too.
Yeah. I don't believe in Joshua Dobbs. I respect what he's doing right now.
Yep.
He's playing good football, but look, I don't believe. I know. Again, I tell it every time Joshua Dobbs come up, y'all. I've seen this before.
Right.
I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is what he hasn't been this good in Pittsburgh. Ever.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you to kind of expand on that because I don't recall him playing this well for this amount of time in Pittsburgh. So
yeah, but we also got to put on the conversation that he's not playing good teams right now.
Yeah, no, and that's fair.
Outside of Dallas,
right? And that's fair. And let's be honest, because we want to throw away his time in Arizona earlier this year, but there have been some games where he's played okay. Like he's played some good football.
He's not making mistakes,
right?
Which he shouldn't at that age of that level of experience. Against those teams, he shouldn't be making those mistakes.
Right.
So I mean, shout out to him, respect.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that this is, and again, they'll probably make the playoffs based on the on the schedule.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you something in regard to Dobbs? So, you don't. Well, two questions. You don't believe in him to do what in particular?
Okay, that's a good question because I do believe this team, the Vikings as constructed, are good enough to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I guess in turn I do believe them. But it's not like. But I'm not talking about this dude being a like I don't think he's gonna get a contract off of this year type shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
I don't,
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that has kind of been I think some of the conversation surrounding this team because. And, Vince Wright has made mention of this on social media that the Vikings are done with Kirk Cousins because this is his last year. Mm-hmm. This is his last year. They're not, the way they're playing right now and the way their standings are with the quarterbacks coming out in the draft, they may not be in line to get one of those guys. So you go to the playoffs with Josh Dobbs, you get a healthy Justin Jefferson back. In the lineup.
Let me amend that.
Go ahead.
It's a very high possibility that Joshua Dobbs gets a contract.
Okay.
But it won't be like what
it'll be a Geno Smith.
No, I don't think it will be that high. I do not think it would be.
What's his numbers? Smith. What's his numbers?
Wasn't it 3 for 90 or something crazy like that?
3 for 90? Okay. Because I wasn't as focused on the money part as I was focused on this is a guy that's getting the second chance. And Geno Smith got that second chance. He got a contract, 3 years, and I don't know what the market on Josh Dobbs is. Like I don't know what that market is.
That's more,
right.
I don't think even in today's market, I think he's still a $25 million quarterback.
But I feel like this is Geno Smith all over again, where he does get a contract regardless of what the money is.
Okay.
I don't care much about the money
so
part.
So I guess if you're saying it that way, then I take it back. I believe in Joshua Dobbs.
Okay.
I believe in him in that matter. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. But we both like Denver.
Yes.
In that game. All right.
Yep.
And I know I said the two biggest games are in the AFC North this weekend, but we got a Super Bowl rematch Monday night.
That was a biased statement.
Sure.
I was with you.
Eagles at Kansas City, man. Where we at with it?
I think the Eagles take this one.
You think the Eagles take this one? I can respect that. And just for the sake of argument, I will pick the Kansas City Chiefs at home. Mm-hmm. And they're both coming off a week off, so
right.
No advantages there. But yeah, I'll go there. All right. Quick shout out to everybody tuning in. Shout out to Steven coming into the chat. Shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube Live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all that good stuff. Continue to follow us on those platforms. Follow us on Twitter at BarbershopSPOR2. Click the like button on the Facebook page. Click the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitch. Also, we're on Instagram as well. You can find us at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Hit us up on the email at Barbershop Sports Talk. Barbershop Sports Talk 1 at gmail.com. I didn't want to get that mixed up. Mm-hmm. Also, check out the merch store. I haven't talked about it for a couple of weeks now, but we got some hoodies, for sale. Check it out. The link is in the description of whatever, source you're watching right now. We got some other stuff on there, mugs, shirts, and all that good stuff. So check that out. Write us a review on any of these streaming platforms. It goes a long way. And once again, appreciate all the love, the support, the fans out there that tune in and listen. Always a great time doing this podcast, bro.
Yeah,
always a great time, man. Love, peace, and happiness to everyone out there. Maestro, you good? Any last words?
Sir.
You good?
Nope.
All right. And folks, as always, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Recording stopped.
We got 'em. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro Styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left some. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called the barbershop.